Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors Podcast, your trusted source for outdoor information and entertainment. The Greenway Outdoors is also an internationally syndicated TV show and conservation advocate aimed at bringing millennials and Generation Z into the outdoors. Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors. The Greenway Outdoors Podcast is brought to you by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Motor Trend's Truck of the Year for the third year in a row. Bass Pro Shop and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. And by Tracker Boats. Fish the best. Hello and welcome to episode 61 of the Greenway Outdoors Podcast. I am Kyle Green.
I am Ryan Parks.
I'm Jeff.
I'm AJ.
And it's Jeff's birthday. Woo! Yeah.
Happy birthday for not dying.
Right. Wow.
Oh.
Kind of puts it in perspective, I guess. Thanks, man. It's from his heart.
Speaking of putting things in perspective, we did get you an ice cream cake.
What kind of perspective does that put something in?
Well, I thought about it on the
Sweets.
drive back from it. Was the ice cream cake we got you is my favorite. But
And because I have to drive an hour, I won't be able to take it home with me. So it's a gift that's 95% for you.
We have a plastic Walmart bag.
Oh, yeah.
We thought we'd just slide it in.
we're going to keep
That's how ice cream
the
works.
container, though. So if that doesn't work for you, you're going to have to leave it here. Now that you say it like that, it really works out for us.
Grocery bags work really well. People have been putting gasoline in them, and that's been working out well for everyone.
I'll be digging in on that cake for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
You'll
Periodically.
get through that thing in 3 days.
Periodically, yeah.
It's like a 12-person cake.
I'm confident.
Lord.
I've also been giving AJ's dog a massive amount of human food. So this would be a good way to do that. Sorry.
I thought he didn't eat human food.
I
That
No,
was the
the
whole
dog
point of
loves
him.
chocolate.
Well,
And onions and grapes.
he
That's all he eats.
likes them mixed. He likes them mixed. We don't actually do that. Don't feed your dog those things. Although I think the chocolate thing's a bit of a myth.
Yeah.
Isn't it just a specific
It's
dark chocolate or something?
Not
in
a myth.
large quantities, and then smaller dogs, obviously.
It's
more.
Baker's chocolate.
Yeah.
Why? What is different about that? I wonder.
It's like
Right.
just more concentrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Because we had a friend in high school whose dog got through a whole bag of Hershey Kisses and was fine. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
milk chocolate.
What really got him was the foil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and it did make it easier to pick it up after though.
Yeah.
There was
Once he
glitter
was
in the
done.
lawn for weeks.
That's disgusting. Something that I've been wanting to do, a segment that we've been talking about doing for a while, that it just never seems to work its way into the content, is sort of, I definitely wouldn't call it fan questions because you'd have to be a fan. I would call it questions from people that happen to watch our stuff. That's
Why don't you call it like a
I think that works.
mailbag? That's
mailbag?
what everyone else calls it. But go
What
ahead.
is this, Blue's Clues?
Yeah.
Mailbag.
Nice.
You've got mail.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that. Anyhow, what I also hate is shipping game meat the way we do it. So one of the questions we got was, you guys travel everywhere and you always are coming home with meat and you're always using it for your cooking segment. How are you getting it home? And this is something that has been forged with trial and error.
Yeah.
Heavily on trial and error.
Yeah.
Some really unfortunate error.
And it's still not perfected
No.
after many
Well,
years.
I think it is now. I think it is now.
Well, the airlines throw in a pretty big wrench into
Yeah.
the whole thing because, like, we can control 90% of it, but the actual getting it from place to place.
It's out of hand.
And
you know.
USPS.
Now,
Yeah.
one of the biggest factors in this is obviously price. I remember, Jeff, when you and I guess all of us were there, but we went to Texas the first time, and we went, I guess we did trot lines for catfish, and we had a bunch of catfish meat, as well as some other cervid, I think. Didn't we kill something else? Was it a pig?
I think it was a pig.
Okay, so a pig and catfish, and we were going to be sending that home from Texas.
You know what? You're wrong. Ryan didn't go on that trip. He wasn't born yet.
Oh, yeah, because it was 4 years ago. That's right.
Happy birthday revoked.
Yeah. Yeah. He did.
That's okay. Did you actually give me a happy birthday? I don't.
Yeah.
I got
as
one
soon
He
as
from
hugged you
AJ.
when you walked in
AJ
today.
didn't.
Hmm.
I promise.
Guilty.
I hugged you and
To
then
be
wrapped my
fair,
legs around you.
How's
Oh yeah, I blocked that out.
how's AJ gonna say happy birthday when he was rooting against you though? You know what I mean?
Like he did.
So anyhow, when we went to Texas, we went to FedEx. Like you would think, okay, we've got this meat. Let's find out how we ship it home. So we went into a FedEx. And we went in there, and they say, listen, it's going to be like $450 to ship this home. And
the amount of dry ice you need to protect it to get it home, you're not allowed to put that much in a box.
That was. So she's like, the amount of ice it takes to get this home. It was as if, and this is what always shocks me, when you encounter these people, it's as if they've never heard of this before.
That one kills me.
Like, no one's ever shipped meat before. Like, I'm in Texas. Yes, they have. Mm-hmm. What do you know that I don't? What won't you tell me? But that was something we ran into. We've also run into going to USPS. We've tried all these different things. Buying the boxes, buying the containers, all the things to get it home always end up costing an arm and a leg. So here is the formula. If you are traveling somewhere and you happen to be flying somewhere and flying home, this is the process that we do. Every time we get and harvest whatever we're going to get, we actually go to a Walmart, Meijer, whatever it is. Normally it's Walmart because they're everywhere. And we buy one of the cheap, and anywhere from $24 to $26. It's either Coleman or Igloo. They all make them. Yeah. But they're cheap coolers. But
less than $30.
Yes.
It's like a 2.5 by 2.5 by 2.5 cube.
Yeah,
works out perfect.
The best part is they have wheels. That's the key. You want the one with wheels. They're also, being cheap, they're relatively light, which is good because when you think for the next part is the weight is important. Then what we do is we buy a bunch of those blue ice packs that are like $1. Now here's the thing: when you fly, you cannot use dry ice because it's apparently like a bomb. Also, don't mention bomb when on the plane because everyone freaks out. But it's like, grow up. So you can't use dry ice, so you buy the blue packets, and they're like, like the liquid blue things. Then what we'll do is we'll freeze the meat overnight if possible, but it's not necessary, but if possible, we will freeze it. And we freeze the blue packages overnight. And then what we'll do is we'll put about 38 pounds of meat into those coolers, and then we'll put about 7 of those blue ice packs. And then the weight of the thing normally ends up being, the cooler itself ends up being about 5 pounds, and then you're at the 50-pound mark. Then what we do is, so you've got your meat, your ice blocks, which are the blue things, and then you've got the cooler. You shut it. It's a top folding lid. You shut it, and we duct tape the living bejesus out of it. I mean, like, stupid.
Around in both directions.
At least a whole roll.
The top.
A whole roll, basically. So we take that to the airport, and then we just check it like it's luggage. We look them straight in the eye, and we say, this is luggage, and they ask what it is, and you tell them, and they say, okay, and then they just check it like a bag, and you're only paying $30 to ship it.
Yeah. It's true.
Ironically, if you come to our studio, if you like to take a look in our basement or garage, or hell, at this point, probably Ryan's room, we have
20 of them.
At least. We're
using them as end tables.
We have so many of these coolers, but it's a decent investment because you're only spending about $60 in total between the tape, the cooler, the ice, and the shipping itself to get the meat home, and you have a lasting value of continuing to have the cooler. I can't give away enough. We should do giveaways on our Facebook of like
some bloody coolers.
We clean some of them.
My family's tired of getting them as gifts.
That is the formula to get your meat home the cheapest. That's what works for us. Now, again, the trial and error, we talked about Jeff's. We just had a final trial and error. So one of the things that I realized was every time we would tape the bejesus out of them, the airlines would then cut them open. Once we turned them in and they were out of our care, couldn't even see them anymore. We're sitting in the waiting area, probably eating at Chili's, and they cut into them and to see what's in them, to verify it's not
basically just making sure there's no dry ice in them.
Or a bomb.
Yeah.
Or I guess well, technically, if you leave dry ice in a container and it's closed and there's no release or vent, it will eventually, it won't, explode like fireball, but it'll pop open and
it's like a pressure bomb.
Potentially violently because
right.
All the pressure.
Right. So, thanks, Bill Nye. So anyhow, then what happens is they cut into it to see what's in there, and then they have to retape it every time, and they use cheaper tape. But they break the whole seal of all of our good tape, so then their tape always seems to hold okay. And so when we get it, it always says, like, there's a little letter in there, hey, we opened it. Their tape's around the outside. That's what it is. So This time when we were, we just got back from our recent trip where we did paddlefish. We also did noodling for catfish.
Yep.
We also did aoudad, or aoudad, or I don't know. Everyone
There's a
everyone
whole-
says
I
it
really
their
don't
whole
know
thing.
which-
There's 5 different ways to pronounce
Yeah.
it.
It's
I've only heard Audad, but one time on the phone I said Aodad, and it got stuck in his head.
That's
yeah.
usually how it goes.
Well, you're
I've
not.
heard people use an L, so I don't.
You could say Steve in front of him, but you say Stevie one time, and that person will be Stevie for the rest of their life.
Oh, you talking about Stevie?
I hear what I want to hear. So, and you guys blew me out of the water here with the thought process. But anyhow, they cut into it, and so I was like, all right, when we package this meat, what we'll do is, because we had 3 coolers this time from all the meat we had, and that was after sending the paddlefish home already.
Yep.
So we had 3 coolers full of meat, and I was like, what we'll do is, we won't tape them this time.
We'll be
'Cause
sweethearts.
Why tape them? Why make it more difficult on them? Because they have to cut into it, and they're going to tape it anyways. So when we checked the bags, we did have a really nice young lady that helped us at
Yeah.
the airport, and we explained it to her. This was through Delta, and I was like, listen, the meat's in there. I want you to be able to see it. You guys always retape it, so I didn't tape it this time just to let you do it. That way it's only taped once. We're not wasting any, and then it's not harder on you. She's like, perfect. Thank you so much. We'll tape it once we get it back there.
She gave us fragile stickers that we put on the sides. So it was like, okay, it's in good hands. They know what they're doing. They've never even done that before, so they have extra here. So they're good for sure.
So we land in Detroit, and we get there, and we had like the farthest
Baggage claim.
baggage claim away from where we landed.
Yeah, where they parked the plane to baggage claim was
Oh my
the
gosh.
farthest spot, which is a decent walk in the
Which is
Detroit
funny.
airport.
It's like
Because
pushing
it was
a mile.
We
Yeah.
landed at 10:30, and there was not one plane in any other gate leading all the way back to the
they could
main
have
terminal.
parked closer.
It's like, come on.
That's what killed me.
The pilot's car was parked near there. So I go hauling because AJ, they moved one of our camera bags on the plane in the overhead bins on AJ, but didn't tell him. So he was like in a mad dash everyone's trying to get off the plane. He's trying to walk backwards up the aisle to find the stuff. And Ryan's like, well, why don't you rush up to the baggage claim to make sure that someone didn't just steal the bag?
Yeah.
Someone will be there. So I go into full CIA mode. I go running down the thing.
He was army crawling.
I'm checking people.
Run, stupid.
I'm checking people's backpacks, pulling them open, ripping them. No, I'm just kidding. So I go running down, and I see our crazy luggage coming through, and I spot AJ's right away because he's got the funfetti looking one. I grab that, pull it off the thing, and then one of the coolers I see appearing up to get dropped onto the baggage claim, the little spinny
Loopy thing.
Conveyor belt.
Thank you. So it comes out, and I grab it, and it's all taped nice, and I'm like, okay, perfect. I pull it off. A few minutes later, nothing's coming. Another cooler comes up, and it's on its side and opened
And empty.
and empty.
That's the best part.
And there's like blood and juice like pouring on the conveyor belt, and that's what everyone else's bags are going through and
Oh,
stuff.
man.
And I'm like looking around, and everyone's
Sad
like,
but true.
everyone's like, what jerk would do this? And I'm like, I'm that jerk.
That's almost as bad as the last trip we were on when we're sitting there waiting, and one of those little like cat or dog little carriers, a little kennel thing,
Oh, yeah.
comes up, and it was open. Like, oh,
Yep.
oh no.
Lassie's running on the runway.
So I'm like, oh no. So I immediately open up the coolers and look, and the one that was missing, sort of, was Jeffrey's aoudad, or aoudad.
Which is a shame because that was a lot of meat.
I know, and I was like, oh man. So they come walking up like a few minutes later. I go, you want the good news or the bad news? and they go, the bad news. I go, Jeff doesn't have his meat. And they go, what's the good news? I go, we got the cooler. So then I end up going, because we also had to check firearms. So I end up going to the area for the oversized luggage, and I'm like, hey, what's the deal with airline food and
Nice.
and what's the deal with our baggage and stuff? So I started talking to the lady, and she goes, and I had the empty cooler in my hand, and she goes, oh, is that all y'all's game? And I was like,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
yeah. I said, she goes, hold on, I got it in a bin downstairs for you. And I was like, what does that even mean? So she comes up with this big tray of all the bags. Now, Jeff had his meat in, luckily, freezer Ziploc bags,
Yeah.
which is normally what they're in. I think I left that out, actually, of the description. We put the meat itself in Ziploc bags, and then, So,
Somewhat secure.
yeah. So she brings that up and, like, 2 of the 8 ice things And I'm like, ugh.
And 2 bags that we ended up throwing in there of just ice. And the ice was still there. So it had to have happened, I assume, as they were putting it onto the little cart thing, or as it was going on the starting point of the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Well, we had a layover in Atlanta, right? And you were watching people.
I was watching. We had the last row in Delta. We were balling out, obviously, and we had the last row. And the belt that they pull up to the little carts and stuff to get the luggage off, the guys come up and they're taking the luggage off the cart and they're slinging it into the thing that they drive it to the other planes. And I was laughing because I go, not one suitcase landed upright. It was like they wanted it to land on the.
Did they
the
look
front
pissed
side.
or were they laughing?
Just numb.
Yeah, I
No.
bet
Just no feeling.
just another Sunday.
Been
Yeah.
dead for years.
Yeah. So they're just slinging on, and I'm like, our coolers are gonna be screwed if they go through this if they didn't tape it. Because the whole day I was like, I sure hope she actually taped it. I mean, you wonder if like our taping it incentivizes them that like when
Yeah.
they cut the tape, they're like, oh, because I had to cut tape, I must replace the tape. And my fear was they'd be like, well, there was no tape here, so
It must be fine.
yeah, it must be fine.
We should have put one of those fragile stickers over the top so they would have had
Oh,
to cut
yeah.
it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you were there. You could have
Hindsight.
had that idea then.
You put 7 stickers on that cooler.
That is true.
and not
They
one of
gave
them
us
on the
they
seal.
gave us 6, and I put 3 on mine, and he put 3 on his.
I had 4 on mine alone.
You gonna lie on the podcast?
Yeah. Oh, I lie all the time. Nothing I've ever said is true.
Good point.
So she brings it out in that bin. I immediately feel the meat, and I'm like, oh no. I grab the ice packs, and they're still pretty cold.
Yeah.
And like Jeff said, we had because we didn't have enough ice packs. One of the things that we did was we filled a Ziploc bag with ice, and then put that in there too to add to ice because we had a little bit of weight movement, and the more cold the better. And that, of course, made the trip. So that still had ice in it. It wasn't just water, which tells me it was in the cooler
For a good amount of time.
very recently. Very recently.
Most of the trip.
So because of that,
So the meat felt cold, right?
yeah, the meat was cold. So I think all in all, he's
That's fine.
Have you eaten it yet?
Yeah.
What'd you have?
I
How you not
Why
gonna
wouldn't you tell us?
I got it home. I put I finished cleaning it, because I had left some of the silver skin on. I hadn't fully broken it all down.
I know. I broke mine down after.
I food savored it, put it in the freezer, and then I had some leftover scraps that didn't fit into the bag with like the burger meat and stuff. So I took that and said, well, I'll just take this and cook it up. I soaked it in milk for
Whoops.
Ryan's first day. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
I put it in milk for 24 hours and then put it in salt water for an additional 6 hours just to make sure that, because I've never had Aoudad meat before. I've heard really good things and really bad things.
Yeah.
So I
We
don't know.
basically heard all bad except for
So I
Ted Nugent.
figured I'd experiment, but my first experiment I would make sure to get as much game out as I could, and it was pretty good. I overcooked it a little bit because they were really small pieces, but it wasn't bad. I think
What
it
were the
was
pieces from? Like leg
how-
meat?
leg,
or-
just
Okay.
leg meat.
How did you cook it?
Just in a pan with some butter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was the flavor? What was the
Quick
flavor
kind of
similar?
sear on both
Yeah,
sides. I did
that's what
cook
I'm
it, like I
most
said, I cooked
curious.
it all the way through, just for my first attempt at eating it.
Seasoning?
Just salt and pepper, because I wanted to experience the meat, so then I
Oh,
could know
you wanted
what to do with it when we're going to make a recipe.
Okay.
And it was still slightly gamey, which could be the meat, could be how we handled it.
It could also be the fact that you shot an old male.
Could be.
How long did it take to die?
It was almost instantaneous.
Okay.
I hit the jugular and it just dropped.
Okay.
So it was
Because I was gonna say if it lasted a while, sometimes
yeah, all the
adrenaline going.
yeah.
And
No, that
whatnot.
didn't happen. It
Okay,
just dropped.
interesting.
And that was it. So
Okay.
I don't know. I'm thinking my best bet is I think we're gonna take it. We'll spice it up real good and we'll make it kind of like a carnitas, or
Oh,
like
nice.
if you've ever had like a goat taco. Goat tacos are pretty good. So I think that
I've never had a goat taco. I'm curious too the difference because you shot an old male and I shot a younger female. So I wonder, like, I shot the females normally taste better in general. Mine wasn't too old,
Yeah.
so I mean,
I know you broke yours down. You didn't make any of it yet.
no, but I made it. I mean, I broke it down. There is not a smidge of silver skin on anything.
Yeah, mine neither.
I've got a few bags of hamburger meat that could be turned into hamburger meat or it could just be used as stew meat. And then I've got the back straps as is.
Yep.
You want to hear something really crazy?
Yeah.
No.
So after that whole extravaganza with your meat falling out of the cooler and everything, and it still being okay, and
It was me.
getting. So we get it home and everything. He processes his meat, and then the next day comes back to the office. Freezer's wide open.
Could have been anybody though.
Was it the downstairs one?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me paint a better picture instead of just throwing me under the bus in front of all of our friends. Here's what happened. I thought it would be cool to like take a picture of all the meat in our freezer because we have got such a variety hodgepodge down there of I shot my turkey this year. That's in there. So that's pretty cool. We got the rainbow trout from Idaho. We've got Aoudad meat. We've got catfish. We've got paddlefish. We've got all these assortments of meats, elk. So I was feeling pretty cool. And I was like, oh, I'll take a picture of all that and be like, I can provide. But then I didn't close the freezer.
So you can't provide.
Nice.
Now, here's the interesting thing. I left the freezer wide open. It's a deep freeze. And, you know, my mom's like right now, like, can you believe it, Philip, that he did that? But I left the whole lid open. The Aoudad was pretty room temperature from the processing process. And I put it in there at room temperature. When I came back the next day and we have a washer and dryer here at the office, I looked to my right and saw it open and was like, because there's so much important value. There's so much important, valuable meat in there. I knew immediately what I did. I walk over. I reach in. First thing you do is reach in. Yeah. First, something that worried me was there was no snow in it.
Please don't squish. Please don't squish.
Yeah. I thought there'd be a ton of snow in there from, like, leaving it open and it overcompensating and stuff. There was none. So I'm like, is it even on or does it have, like, an auto shutoff? I reached down and touched the turkey first, which should have been completely frozen because it was frozen before already. Yeah. Completely hard as a rock. Oh. So then I immediately touched the Aoudad that I had just put in there at room temperature. It was hard as a rock.
Oh, okay.
Completely frozen.
It is pretty cold down there, so I guess.
And the air doesn't move.
Yeah.
Everything's settled. Still really lucky, though. That he didn't burn up the motor on it.
Well, now that I know it can do that, I don't even close it anymore.
Right.
But yeah, that was a big win for the home team that it wasn't.
Our electric bill has skyrocketed. I don't know
why. But yeah, I'm glad it worked out because that could have been pretty terrible.
Could have been.
So yeah, that's how you. That is a very long answer to how do you guys ship your game meat, but there it is. Make sure you tape it though, and the Ziploc bags are important. And just check it like normal luggage. Tape the living bejesus out of it. Get yourself a 20. It's normally like $26.88 is I think what it always is what the cooler cost is. And it's got the roller wheels on it, and you can fillet a fish on it and not feel bad because you can throw it away. It's good for bow fishing after.
Yeah. I will say that this didn't sound like we sold it very well because it ended, I guess, okay. But to be clear, we've done this now, a good 10, 12 times.
Yeah. More than that, probably.
And it's worked out great.
Yeah. Yeah, so. It's the only way in my opinion.
We have never lost meat or ruined meat through this process.
No.
We came very close this last trip, but it did not happen.
Genuine question, because we haven't talked about it, though. We had to send the paddlefish separate. Did it make it?
No clue.
You still haven't asked?
No.
So we thought it'd be really funny.
It's at your house.
Yeah, he doesn't know, though. He still refuses to ask.
Okay.
I hope Elizabeth took care of it. It's really funny. Ryan's little sister, so we had to send the paddlefish home, which cost us an arm and a leg because we couldn't do it our way that we're talking about because the flight wasn't for like 7 days and we had a 5-hour road trip, so we couldn't do it that way. So we had to send it home ahead of time as soon as we got the paddlefish. So we went to, this is a great story in itself. So we go, I'm like, oh, there's a post office here in the middle of nowhere, by the way. And I'm like, well, this will be the perfect situation because the post office tends to be less than FedEx or UPS.
Yeah.
When we ship out Greenway Gear merchandise, I know that that's normally the cheapest one. So I was like, we're going to get bent over, but we might as well do it for the least amount possible, and it's right here. So we walk in. We have a cooler now and already, and we have we don't have ice yet because we just got the paddlefish, and Brian, our guy, Brian Baker, the guy we fished with, he gave us the cooler for free. He just gave it to us. So we're like, okay, and it was like a big Lunchmate cooler. Like a real, like a one you, like if you were going to the mill, this would be what you'd take with you. Like one of the play school ones that you click the button and slide.
And it slides? Okay, gotcha.
So we had that and the meat in it, and we stopped there and said, you know, this is our. It had regular ice in it though. He brought it with regular ice, and Brian the night before that put it in his freezer. So we have pretty cold paddlefish, half frozen, I'd say, with regular ice all around it, and the paddlefish is in bags. So it's okay, you know.
Probably.
So we pull in there and say, you know, what's the deal? What's it going to cost? First of all, the lady, of course, had never heard of this scenario ever. That she's never ever heard of anybody ever shipping meat.
You're shipping what?
Yeah.
Meat? What's meat?
Yeah, it's like,
come on.
She's never heard it before. She was on the phone when we walked in on a personal call because we were in the middle of nowhere. And she's on a personal call. Never hung up on this personal call through our first interaction. Did not care whatsoever. AJ went through this whole process with me, so feel free to jump in at any time. So AJ and I walk in. She is chewing on something, but there's like nothing to chew on. She was just there chewing on something.
Her meal was done a half hour
Yeah,
ago. She's still just gnawing on
and
it.
she's just irritated that we exist with trying to ship something. She's like, oh, I don't know about this. And it's like, what don't you know? There's either a process or there's not. So what do we got to do?
Yeah.
And of course, I was super nice. And AJ's like, you can't be that nice because they'll just walk all over you. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much for helping us and stuff. And she's just mad I exist.
I'll come to your cousin's birthday party next week.
Yeah. I'm like part of the family.
I'm like, let's get out of here.
So we go up there with the cooler, and she's like, well, let me weigh it. And she's like, you guys are going to need dry ice to ship it. And I was like, really? I thought you'd say I couldn't use dry ice, and you're saying I need dry ice. She goes, yeah, you got to have dry ice to ship it, otherwise it's not going to make it in time and this and that. I was like, well, can you at least give us a ballpark of what it's going to cost? She puts it on the scale and said it was like $100 or something like that. And I was like, okay. It's more than it should
Not
be, but
the worst.
it's fine. We didn't pay for the cooler, so it is what it is. She goes, but you need to get dry ice. And I was like, where do we go for that? And she's like, what was the name of it, AJ? Reese's was the name.
But I thought she was saying research. So
Yeah, it took
Is
me
that like
confusing.
the local grocery store chain?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that it's even a chain. So we walk.
I did see two.
We walk in there. Thank God they had dry ice, which I was like, I don't know that they even will.
Yeah.
And the guy that was there was super nice. He's like, yeah, it's right there. I go, okay. Apparently we have to have some sticker to put on the side of it. Do you guys have those? He goes, no. You get those from the post office. They have them there because they're the ones that make you use it. I was like, okay, cool. So we get the dry ice. Now we go back to the lady and we go, okay, we got the dry ice. We're ready to go. What's the next step? And she goes, well, do you have the stickers for the side to show that you have dry ice? And I was like, no. And they said you had them here. She goes, nope, we don't have them here. They have them there. And I was like, well, no, they didn't, because I saw the whole container. It was just dry ice, and the guy had never heard of the sticker in his life other than to tell me to get it from there. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, what do we got to do? She goes, well, there's nothing I can do. You have to go get a sticker. I was like, well, where can I go? She goes, there's a public library down the street. You can go there, and maybe you can print it off the UPS website. And I was like, well, do you guys have a printer here? She goes, yeah, but you can't use it because we can only go to the USPS website on the computer here. I was like, well, don't.
It has the sticker on it?
Well, don't you guys have the sticker? She goes, no, we don't have the sticker on our website. You got to go to UPS's website to get the sticker. Or FedEx, was it? And I said, okay, well, you make us use a sticker that you don't have and have no way of accessing for us to print through your system. She goes, correct. You got to go to the library next door, and then you'll be good to go. I was like, okay. So now I'm frustrated. So now me and AJ are in a public library in the middle of nowhere. It was
Wait. How many times did you get shushed?
A few. AJ did shush me. But we walk in, we will pull up to it. It's a steel building, looks like a garage. Does not even resemble a library at all. Ryan's over it. He won't get out of the car.
I didn't even go in the first time because I just didn't. Where we were, you just knew it was going to be a thing. And there's nothing I hate more than a thing.
Yeah. Yep.
When there shouldn't be.
In my head, I'm picturing like a barn.
Yeah, imagine.
Like a metal barn.
Yeah, a metal barn is a perfect example.
Okay.
When you saw it from the outside, there was no hint that it was a library other than a library sign.
I'm going to learn stuff here.
We drove past that building at least 4 times and never knew what it was.
Oh.
Yeah, it's where you go to keep your chickens is what it is. It's not a library.
So we walk into said library, and I got to say this. The girl there reminded me of my sister, but she was extremely helpful. Very kind. She set us up with a Windows 97 computer, and or was it Windows XP? It might have been XP.
Both the same.
It was the keyboard. everything was the same as when we had a computer in 4th grade.
Yeah.
The big back to it and everything like
What
that.
I like is that your sister listens to every episode of the podcast. And she's going to get to this part laughing along with the story. It's like my sister, only helpful.
I didn't mean it like that. But she reminded me like the way she looked of my sister. But
Oh, okay.
so we go in and so we sit down at the computer and then we're clicking around and she goes, "You got to go here." We pay the 10 cents a minute or whatever it is to use the computer. We get to the point where we're gonna print it. She goes, "You have to send it to me so I can print it because you can't just be printing stuff, in case it's a dirty movie or something."
Mm-hmm.
So I send it to the lady to have her print it. I send it, she prints it, and it's all faded. She goes, "Well, did you download it to the desktop or did you?" And I'm like, these are problems that exist nowhere else on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
Except
First, you got to boot up AOL. Did it go through the dial tone? Okay, now you're connected. Like,
So
what?
it
was
was
a
literally like
nightmare.
that. So then
Ugh.
we go back and forth with her. I want to say we spent a half hour in this place
Yep.
trying to get this thing printed so that it was legible.
We went back in time essentially.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. We finally get this label, and this is why you want to listen to our advice on what to do about shipping stuff. We get the label, so then I'm like, all right, got it. And I fill it out, and we're like, okay, we got everything we need now. The dry ice is packed. The cooler's packed. Everything's good. We've got the sticker. Nothing can stop us now. We go back to the post office, go to open the door. It's locked. From 12 to 1, she goes to lunch.
We saw her walk.
An hour?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we were. They
What?
they closed the post office. It just closes for lunch.
She sent us away knowing
She's like the only employee.
She was.
She was.
When she sent us away, she didn't even mention it. We were gone a half hour. You didn't think she'd be like, "Well, just so you know, I'm going to go to lunch in a half hour. I'm sending you on a scavenger hunt to try and use my business."
No, because that's none of your business.
You know what's insane is the customer service part of it. Like, they're in business to take your money to ship things. You would think that she would do whatever she could to make my life easier.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm on a wild goose chase, so we go to the library. So this gets good. So now we got to kill an hour in this nothing town. When I say nothing, the only thing that exists there is a Sonic. So naturally, we went to Sonic. And I will say this.
Right.
It was a nice day, and we did have an outdoors lunch. We ate in the grass together. And
You guys had a picnic?
we did.
Yeah.
And they also had ocean water slushies, which you can't get everywhere. They're seasonal. It's amazing. It's some blue raspberry, Sprite, cotton candy mixed flavored thing. Highly recommended if you go to a Sonic, ocean water. If you happen to go to the Dino place in Florida, in Disney Springs, get shark water. It's the same thing. Neither of which have alcohol. They're just amazing. There is a drink that's ocean water that's got booze in it, but this is the non-booze one, and it's just fantastic. It's probably my favorite beverage.
So what
I'm glad
happened
we
with the
know
mail?
that now.
What's that?
What happened with the mail?
Did any of you guys ask about a slushie
It
or
was
a...
important to me. So then, oh, okay, we're doing that. We're all hurting each other's feelings. So then after that, we go back to the place after we killed the hour, and we walk in. And I said to AJ, I go, AJ, she will invent a problem for us right now. You watch.
No
He goes,
question.
I had to
This
get
point.
us ready for it because we knew it was coming.
and it like before we open the door, we took a deep breath. We walk in, and we walk in, and she goes, "You know what I was thinking about while you guys are gone?" And I'm like, "Whatever you were eating again," and I assume you're still chewing on. But she goes, "You know what I was thinking about when you guys are gone? You guys can't ship dry ice in a cooler. It could explode." She's the one that said it had to be dry ice. And she goes, "It's sealed, so there's nothing you can do." Was it you or was it
Well, I think both of us did. Me
Yeah.
and AJ both like pulled the knife out at the same
Mhm.
time.
AJ grabs a knife, pulls it out. The guy behind us in line
also tries to hand us a knife.
gathered enough information to know what we were going through, tried to help. Nicest guy.
Yeah.
AJ pulls out a knife and stabs the cooler.
There.
Stabs the cooler and opens up a hole in it and goes, "There, it's not sealed now. Put the stickers on it."
Yep.
And
We're
she
done.
goes,
Does that work?
Okay. And then she did it, and then we paid, and then we got out of there. Now, here's the thing. It shipped. There's another.
This is the best part.
This is the best part of the story, though. She does that. We get it all open. After stabbing the cooler, she puts it on. She goes, "Okay, here are the choices of the shipping." She looks at the shipping. There's a next day air. And it was out of the options because everything's rushed. That was the cheapest choice because it was on an airplane. She goes, "Oh, but you can't do that one because you have dry ice. So the only one you can do is the 6-day one because you have dry ice and they got to do it on the ground. If you didn't have dry ice, you wouldn't have had to do that."
Dude,
What-
dude,
You made
What?
me get dry ice,
It was
lady.
a 3-hour ordeal.
She goes, I suppose you could have just left some ice in it and it'd be there tomorrow. What? What?
You made us get dry ice. You did this to me. And I go, well, you're the one that made us get dry ice. She goes, I guess I should have looked at this first. That doesn't make much sense. It's the cheapest option, too. You're going to have to pay double.
Oh.
And I had to buy the damn dry ice. So like she just this, and she roped 4 hours out of me, which based on the payrolls of all three of us, any way you cut it, she cost us $1,000. Yeah, like
We did have a nice picnic.
We did have a nice picnic, and they did have ocean water, but that was a frustrating thing. I was irate.
And we still don't know if it made it because I refuse to check.
We have a variety of other topics.
It's still sitting on the back porch.
Oh yeah. Well, we also thought it would be funny that like when we filled out the slip of where we had it sent directly to Ryan's sister specifically, not his parents or his house, but to Elizabeth Parks for no apparent reason.
And what's your address again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets like a package in the mail. She's like, "Oh, I didn't even order anything. What is this?"
It's a smelly cooler with flies all over it.
Some
man.
weirdo sent me fish. I threw it away.
So we've returned home now. We've been home for a week, and I've asked Ryan daily if the meat made it, and he refuses to ask his family. So we still don't know, but we will let you know, hopefully after this break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the other questions that we had from audience members. We had, how do you pick your favorite episode? Do you guys have paid internships? I'm going to rant on that one a little bit. Bighorn sheep in North Dakota are making a giant comeback, and apparently UFOs are no big deal.
Aliens are making a comeback too.
Yeah. Stay with us.
Trust isn't built in a day. It's built over time. The early hours and the late nights. It's built by doing the work and pushing the limits every day. Because the promises we make are the promises we were built to keep.
If you'd like to help support the Greenway Outdoors, please like and comment on this podcast and subscribe to all of our channels. Hello and welcome back to episode 61 of the Greenway Outdoors podcast. Okay, it's driving me nuts. Ryan, can you call your mom and find out if the paddlefish made it, though?
Yes.
Because
She's like, we haven't looked either.
is that what stinks?
I did text them when we sent it that it was on the way.
Did they respond?
Your mom's like, we don't go through your sister's mail, Ryan.
It's a massive cooler.
We sent it specifically to Ryan's little sister.
All right, let's see. Hopefully, I'm just gonna call her.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hi,
Hi.
you're on the podcast.
Oh, hello.
So, do you remember a week and a half ago when I texted you that we were sending paddlefish to the house?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because
She goes, why didn't you ever send it, though?
Well-
Oh, no.
they asked me if I ever told you if we sent it, and I wasn't sure.
You did tell me that, but
okay.
I haven't seen it.
So, wait, what?
Did it come?
That's what we were gonna
You
ask.
got to call your dad, I think. Then. Are you with Mr. Parks?
No, I haven't seen anything like that.
That's
Good
not good.
news.
That's not good at all.
No.
What about her dad?
Do you think Dad would have put it away without telling anybody?
My dad hasn't seen it.
What'd she say?
You said her
I
dad. You
think
said
Oh.
my dad hasn't seen it.
Said something, but he hasn't, but I can ask.
It seems like something that he would do just to put it away and not tell anybody.
I hope so.
We might not have it. Okay, well, thank you.
How did you send it?
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch the podcast.
Through USPS.
Oh my gosh, okay.
She's like, why didn't you use next day air and blue ice?
You always get a tracking number.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we did.
all right.
Okay,
we
you
didn't.
guys should come down to FWB. DJ Chachi's here.
What's
okay.
DJ Chachi's?
He's like the local celebrity that thinks he's cool.
Oh.
Okay, bye. Love you.
Love you, bye.
All right, well, that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Gotta love Ryan's mom, though. She's a total sweetheart.
Given our experience, are we surprised?
I really hope
It's fine. Paddlefish is a common fish. We can buy it anywhere.
You
It'll
feel
be
like
good.
your dad would be like the type to just get it and not say anything, though.
He's
Yeah.
praying that that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna wait till he asks me, and then I'm gonna be weird about it. And Ryan's gonna have to go look in the freezer to find it.
He's the most responsible one, and he'll give you crap if you're not responsible, and he's just waiting.
Yeah.
He's like every night before he goes to bed, he's got a smile on his face, just hoping to mess with you about the catfish. Well, I hope to God it's there. All right, moving on. We got another question, and it was one that we get often, and I feel like I answer it often, but we keep getting it, so I felt like saying it directly might be a
I'm
good
addressing it now.
So
Write it down.
the big question we get is, how do you pick your episodes? How do you pick what you're doing? Because we've done python hunting in the Everglades. We've done elk hunting in Colorado. We've done axis deer in Hawaii. We've done noodling for catfish. We did noodling for sharks. Just kidding, making sure everyone's listening. But it's an idea. How do we come up with these ideas, and why do we choose them? To be honest with you, it sounds a little crazy or not that planned, but we basically just do things that sound cool to us. We often get people that reach out to the show through, social media platforms and stuff and offer us different opportunities. And if one of them sounds really awesome, we typically do it. Or if it's something we've always wanted to do, like a bucket list item, like axis deer in Hawaii, then we go out.
Crawfish was one of mine.
Yeah, crawfish. Yeah, you're just like, I'd really like to do this.
Yeah.
I always
turned
wanted
out
to
be a
go
while.
frog gigging, and we still haven't done that. So
Yeah.
cool.
I
We have
actually
a few
Happy
offers.
birthday, me.
No, I actually said that. Jeff's not on the producer panel, so he doesn't. No, we actually set that up for June. We're doing that when we do our alligator hunt.
Oh, okay, nice.
So that's happening. I
That's
did that.
cool. Oh, so we can gig for frogs while we also hunt for alligator. So we walk
We're
through the
gonna
water.
gig in the same water.
Same,
That's cool. That's
same
cool.
equipment, same everything.
I feel like we'll do the alligator hunt first.
Okay.
Try
Can
and
you gig for those?
to rid the waters a little bit. So I guess the simple answer to that one is just whatever we feel like doing is cool. We get a lot of people that reach out to us and make us offers. A lot of times we'll entertain those. Although I would say 75% of our episodes are through just ideas that we have, and then we're like, that would be interesting. And the other thing is we try and do something odd. So every hunting and fishing show, it's whitetail deer, turkeys, and bass fishing, and I just can't do it anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I can't do it anymore. So I want weird. I want pythons in the Everglades. I want crawfish. I want...
Which is unfortunate because a lot of the people that approach us, we get a lot of like, hey, you guys want to come and hunt deer here? No.
One of the...
Next question.
Yeah, and next question. The other thing is we have some things that we consistently like to do the most, and duck hunting is the number one thing that we like the most over anything. Any weird way of duck hunting or new species that we haven't hit yet, that's always attractive. But the new one for me, the biggest one for me, is spearfishing. I've really gotten into that.
Yeah.
Even though I suck at it, just like a Wonder Woman under the
Phenomenal
water.
at it for some reason.
Wonder Woman.
I'm Aquaman. He's Wonder Woman. I love the fish, so I never get to shoot him. But Jeff goes down there and shoots everything he sees.
And you should see his legs. Just like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Hairless.
No one out of us though.
What?
AJ has the best calves.
Oh,
That's
no
true.
question.
I noticed
That's not
that
even a
bull.
joke.
I lost my mind when we were pulling.
Check my pulse.
But spearfishing and duck hunting, they make the top of the list. And any big cervids that we haven't hunted yet, like we're doing moose hunting because I really want to shoot a moose. I haven't done that yet, so that'd be pretty cool. We've got that coming up. Another question, and I've kind of been playing with the idea. I almost worded that wrong because I was going to say I was thinking about it in the shower, and then I was going to say playing with the idea of how I was going to respond, and I almost said
I was playing with it in the
myself-
shower.
I was playing with myself in the shower. I was thinking about how to reply to this. I've gotten this, so all the people that might be listening to this that also asked me this question that might be offended by this know that you're one of many people that have asked this question, and I feel like it's important for me. Geez, how do I want to word this? It's important for me to explain this life lesson. I'm not that old, and I don't even consider myself that successful, but I know for a fact what I'm about to tell you is true, I guess would be the way to word it.
Yeah.
The question was, do you guys have paid internships? And I've gotten that question so many times from people, and it's become frustrating to me because we have gotten away, when I say we, I say millennials, Generation Z, the culture of what value you can bring as opposed to what value can be brought to you has been blown away. listening to Zig Ziglar when I was a kid, one of the first things I picked up on that he would always say is, don't ask what a company can do for you, but what you can do for a company. Money will come. Benefits will come. Experience will come. Things will come. But what can you do for the customer, or what can you do for the company is how you should go into things thinking.
Sure.
And when someone comes to me and says, do you have paid internships? My first thought is, you're coming to me telling me that you are an internship level. That's the level of your skill.
That's your skill set.
Your skill set is you're an intern level skill set, which means that you have to learn from my team, which takes up a bunch of time. And again, this is meant to be a learning lesson and more of a philosophical, motivational type feel to this. Not an aggressive.
Not trying to dog people, but truth hurts.
Yeah.
And you're not even coming in as like an entry level person. You're coming in with the expectation that you're going to learn how to work in this industry.
Correct.
So it's you're not just starting out, you're almost below starting out.
And I think what inspires me to talk about it is the fact that it's so opposite of my thinking that it's like when someone says it, it's like it doesn't process with me. So when they say, I have internship level skills, can you pay me to come learn from you, is essentially what they're asking.
Yeah.
So what that would look like is they would come in and work for us, which would take up Ryan's time, AJ's time, my time. Half of your time would be spent teaching them the tasks that they'll be doing, and we're paying them to teach them, and then they leave after the 3 or 4 months, and then they leave with those skills, and I use that time to pay them to learn. And I even said it to a couple of them, like, hey, like that's probably not the way to address it, or come to me to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
The point is this. In life, when you want something, you should be doing everything you can to give value. In the marketplace, which is real world life, the value you bring to the marketplace is how you're compensated. So by misunderstanding and expecting to be paid for something to learn is insane. The same reason why you wouldn't go to college for free, or the college wouldn't pay you to go there.
Yeah.
You need to go there. You pay because you're learning something. You're supposed to be taking value from it. The problem is the educational system now, when people talk about going to college, all they're doing is skating through in order to get a piece of paper because they believe it'll help them get a job, when in all reality, that's no longer true. And on top of that, the real reason why you should be going to school, and that's why I would never tell anyone not to go to school, the reason you should be there is to learn something, learn skills, learn trades, learn whatever you need to learn to accomplish the goals that you have set forth in your life, not to get a piece of paper to go work for somebody else. That's just an insane thinking to me. And it's the core of this thought, will you pay me to come learn from you, is so backwards from what it takes to actually be successful in the real world that I feel like by me shaking them and saying, like, you're asking the wrong questions. That is not what you should be asking me. You should be coming to me and saying, hey, what can I do to learn from you? I will do anything it takes to be there. I will bring as much value as I possibly can. Here are the 15 things I can do now to benefit you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd like to work my way into a position that pays.
Sure.
That's a completely different conversation, and my door would have been opened for that. But
instead, they probably get offended.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Well, if you're offended by that, I don't want you here anyways.
Right.
Kyle basically said that the fact that like you should be working on your own skills and abilities so you can really bring something to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And the response was, well, I need to pay my bills. Okay, so you're going to waste the entire team's time because we have to teach you, and on top of that, we have to pay you because you need bills paid.
Well, it's and that's the thing is, like, when we started this company, all of us here we started a marketing company simultaneously. I worked 40 to 50 hours a week at the marketing company in order to fund bills and dump tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars into the Green Bay Outdoors in order to build the show. That's what it took to succeed. So I'm working 90-hour weeks. I gave up my 20s. I didn't have alcohol. I didn't do drugs. I didn't do anything except for work on 40 hours here and 40 hours here, or even more than that. I worked both jobs in order to create something. And and that's what I'm trying to inspire, is what my response to him was, your bills, I completely understand. Luckily, You got 40 hours a week to make the money to cover the bills, and you got 40 hours a week to build skills so that you can bring value to the marketplace, so that you can be compensated for your skills and earn your place into a company instead of just asking for someone to pay you to come learn.
Instead of being paid to just fill a space.
As if someone owes you something. Nobody's coming to our rescue.
Nope.
Nobody's coming to our rescue. No one's coming to his rescue. No one's ever going to come to our rescue. And everybody in this world is 3 bad moves away from losing everything. It doesn't matter whether you're Bill Gates, and he might be making. He's already got like 1 or 2 of those moves down where he's right now. But you're 3 moves away from making crucial mistakes that would ruin your life. And I found it important for me to say, listen, when you come to the marketplace, when you come to a job, when you come to anything, what value can you bring to them should be your only concern. Money will come. Everything else will come. Because if you bring amazing work to someone and bring value so that that company can get more sponsors, can get more sales, can get more this, can get more that, then you're going to be compensated for that. And if you're not compensated from them, the person down the street that sees you're doing that, they'll give it to you.
Your value to the company has to exceed the company's value to you.
And by the way, that's how I live my life. I have the same thing. Ryan, when you come back here at 10 o'clock at night and I'm still sitting at my desk editing, when I come here in the morning, you guys have already beat me here somehow, and you've already got a project done that you're wanting to correct me on for this or that or whatever it might be. We're all putting in the time and the value for each other. Now, everyone at this table is owners of this company, so it's a little bit different in that sense, but you weren't always an owner.
No.
When AJ came in, when we were hiring, we were looking for positions to fill at Crave. We've talked about Ryan's story and how he got started with us talking about AJ's now. We were starting the marketing company and the TV show at the same time simultaneously. AJ heard about it through a friend of a friend who wasn't even a really friend of mine. Matter of fact, he had the worst reference on the planet Earth. The fact that he was referenced by this person made me not want to hire him, literally, okay? Same goes for you.
Yeah.
So he came in. We had 10 people. AJ was probably ranked 7th or 8th as far as experience level of the 10 people that were there, as far as the amount of work he had in the outdoor and in the television industry, and he had zero experience in the outdoor industry. So those were big strikes against him. Obviously, when we talked and stuff, he was super motivated and very excited about it and the great personality that we all know and love. But when he left, I was like, seems like a good guy. He's got a terrible reference as far as who included him, and his experience level, not skill set, but experience level, was not at the same level as 7 or 8 of the other people that were on the list. So then after that he left, we were making the decision. It was going to be about a 2 or 3 week process. 3 days later, he called me. Hey, did you fill that position yet? I was like, no. He was the only one that followed up with me. Next day, shows up at the office while I'm working after hours. I'm the only one there still, after I assume you worked all day at your other job.
True.
So it's 5:30. He just shows up in the office, walks in, and he goes, did you fill the position yet? And I was like, no. And I was like so flabbergasted that this guy showed up. He did that 4 times. He showed up every other day. And
like
then
a net at a bar.
So finally I was like, okay, you're in. And now
Stop coming.
Now he's not an employee, but a business partner and one of my best friends. Actually, out of all 4 of 3 of us, 3 of you, he's easily top of the list.
Oh, no question.
But he came in, and that was how he brought in value. He wasn't, what can you do for me? What can I? It was.
He was showing up more than some of the other employees at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's how you do things, is you have to be a go-getter. You have to go after what you want in life, and you have to bring as much value as you can to the marketplace. It's the same reason why minimum wage makes no sense. Minimum wage, it doesn't matter what the minimum wage is, because it's just a starting step. It's the first step on a ladder. It's not a bed, but a ladder. It goes up, and you climb up it through building value. If you came to me today and said, hey, Kyle, I can bring you 3 sponsors at $100,000 a piece, but I want 30% of them. You just made 90 grand. Yeah, I'm going to double check. You just made $90,000 that I guarantee you're going to get paid by building value by doing that.
Right.
If you came in and said, hey, Kyle, I can produce this documentary that's going to be amazing that we can sell to Netflix for this amount of money. You brought value, but I want 30% of it. It's going to happen. It's those are simple examples, but you have to think outside the box. Worry about building your skill set and what you can bring to a company. The money will come. Do not ask what other people can do for you, but ask what you can do for other people. It's the philosophy of the 4 people sitting in this room, and it's why we do have what we have. We have not made it yet. We're not, in my opinion, even remotely successful. We have a great podcast. We have a great TV show. We've got some great sponsors, great partners, stuff like that. But until we're on a giant network where we're reaching millions of people a week, I won't consider us successful, and that's my only goal.
Yeah.
Same.
But the philosophy of what we can bring to those networks, even in the conversations when we're pitching to these major networks and we're working with our agents and stuff, my whole pitch is based around how we'll bring value to those networks as opposed to us using them for viewers. And that's how everyone should be thinking. And I worry about Generation Z not doing it. And that's why I get these questions all the time is, how much will you pay me for an internship? Do you have paid internships? And I want to thrash them because it should be, I will do anything to work for you. Whatever I get is fine, but I have to get my foot in the door. What happened to the term "get your foot in the door"? Where did that go?
Yeah.
I mean, where did that go?
We don't want to scuff your nice shoes.
Yeah, it's like I got to work my 40 hours a week. No, you got to work your 80 hours a week. Figure it out, man.
Yeah.
You're 20 years old. Figure it out. Like,
It's amazing. Like you just said, the 40-hour-a-week thing, like that's the standard. There's no more than that. I can't do more. Like, what is that? There's no working hard.
what is it?
They're trying to break that down too. There's places that have been hiring 4-hour shifts.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I had a cousin that
Like a
that
half
was-
day.
Yeah. I don't know if the point is that they're trying to get people to maybe still work 8 hours, but not in such a structured way. But they had shifts that were 7 to 11, 11 to 3, 3 to 7. So it's like, what are people only going to work 1? Are they going to work 2? But it's going to be split up with a 4-hour break. What? Like, who needs a 4-hour lunch? Like, what in the world?
Well, I
And that's
agree
where
with.
we're at.
No, I'm just kidding. Well,
That's why he works
they're
40
having-
and 40 because he takes 4-hour lunches.
I read a newspaper article today, and I would want to verify that this is true. Do you hear Cedar Point's shutting down 2 days a week now?
I did hear that.
They're shutting down 2 days a week because they can't find people to work.
Yeah, that's the same everywhere.
But yeah, unemployment's at a record high. Almost as if these socialist policies of giving everyone free stuff is somehow backfiring, which is weird because, like, when you look at all socialist countries, it always works out really well. I don't know why it wouldn't for us.
I mean, I don't know why.
That's
we haven't done
immense
it yet.
sarcasm.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, sorry. I was talking to Ted Nugent the other day. It got me all fired up. But that's my thoughts on that, going down a rabbit hole with everything else. But Cedar Point, the fact that our unemployment is at record highs, but they can't find employees to work there, kind of tells you the state of how things are. Somehow we have a massive unemployment crisis, but we also have a massive available work.
Unwillingness to work.
Yes. And it's
It's
sad.
a shame.
Focus. What can you do for other people, not what can other people do for you? So, moving on. This is a good story, now that I've ranted on a couple things and taught people how to not fly on airplanes. Bighorn sheep in North Dakota. This is kind of a feel-good
yeah.
story. Okay. In western North Dakota, the part above the Badlands, they call it the northern Badlands area, there are now 322, which does not sound like an impressive number, amount of bighorn sheep there. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is up 11% from 2019 and 13% over the 5-year average. Now, the last one was killed there. I want to say, I had it in my notes, 1905. And
That was the last, like, truly wild one.
well, they're all wild, but the last native one is the word you're looking
That's
for.
what it was.
The last native bighorn sheep was killed in 1905 in North Dakota. Now, what's interesting is Teddy Roosevelt hunted bighorns in North Dakota, and in the 1880s, he said in his notes he said that they were extremely scarce.
Yeah.
So the numbers were already rapidly declining. So they've brought them back in to try and reintroduce them to their native range, bringing in bighorn sheep in the native range. Now, in the northern Badlands, the numbers are continuing to trickle upwards, which is great. And this is a new record, which is awesome. Now, the southern Badlands, there was a form of bacterial pneumonia that was actually wiping them all out. But since like 2014, the northern Badlands seem to be coping with it better than the southern ones. So the southern ones, the numbers are still going down.
How is that being transferred among the population?
I don't know. Probably kissing.
Swapping spit. What's pneumonia? So it's if it's bacterial, like you're saying, then I would assume it'd be either
Water.
Water, food source.
They're social.
Spit.
They're social animals.
Okay.
Saliva.
Now the makeup of the 322 sheep is 97 rams, 170 females, and 55 lambs.
That's how you know when there's a problem, when they have a specific count on each of the different.
Yeah.
categories.
Now the number of lambs was also pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So apparently the number of lambs being that high was cool.
It's higher than it's been in
So
a while.
they check them when they're first laid. Not laid. Why'd I say that?
Born.
Hatched.
Born. Yeah, when they first pop out of their
well,
egg.
the ewes get laid and then they're born.
Yeah. So when the sheep, you wouldn't say sheep. Would you say sheep? Yeah, Bighorn.
Sheep,
Yeah.
ewes, whichever.
Whatever. When they're born, they go and count the numbers then, and then they circle back a few months later to see which ones made it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and I think only one birthing ewe has died. I think in the last couple years.
Yeah,
I believe if I remember correctly.
yeah.
So that's like really impressive.
So should we be expecting a season on it? Or
Well, there is a season currently. So the most recent one, they had 6 licenses. Was all.
wow.
It's an expensive lottery.
yeah.
So, I shouldn't say expensive. It's very unlikely to get in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is pretty expensive.
For
so
the
they
one.
they did 5 for the lottery,
Which
and
is
then
random.
One,
Completely anyone can get in.
and then one, kind of like how they do the special duck hunts here in Michigan or elk, but the one that they auctioned off went for $83,000
Jeez.
So they
for one hunt.
But that money goes towards the conservation of the species. And there's people that have like backlash on that. They're like, they shouldn't do that. It's not fair that the rich guy should just have the randomness too. Why do they auction off one where it's whoever can afford it gets it? That's not fair. I think it's fantastic because all that 83 grand goes towards.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
now that's
that's
what
true.
the population needs is more money. You
Right.
raise more money,
Right.
those 5 that they take out, which I'm sure they probably pick out
They're all rams.
which ones.
They're all rams.
Yeah, so they're going
all
for the ones
mature
that are
rams.
less fertile now. They're probably older. They're doing the best thing for the population. If the other ones went for half of that amount, they've raised more than $300,000.
Right.
And that money will do wonders for the 300, that are left, as opposed to those 5 that are probably not even really doing much for the population anymore.
Right, exactly. So that being said, another important part of that is that now the licenses in the season may go up a little bit. It may go up because of the fact that you've got, like I said, they had the 6 successful hunters, and then I believe last year was the year that one guy, I think they said it was a 190, but he shot possibly a record for North Dakota. I don't remember if
Yeah,
it
the
was
state record was like 172 or something.
he
And he
shot
shot
like
at 190.
Yeah.
So huge.
So one of the
Yeah.
people that got the hunts and the tag. So the numbers may go up. It's just cool to see it bouncing back, being more successful, and then hopefully that'll be a.
It's a long road to recovery, but hopefully they're in the right direction.
They're bouncing back along with the wolf population.
Great. One last topic I want to touch on briefly because we don't have a lot of time left, but I just find it super interesting. So we periodically talk about UFOs because when we travel,
Because they're real, of course.
Almost
Because-
daily.
when we travel and stuff, it's one of our topics that we like to talk about as a team. What's really interesting right now, NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, Tucker Carlson, all the way.
Infowars.
Even CNN.
Yeah, CNN, everyone's talking about it because inside the bill, Marco Rubio really pushed for the COVID spending bill that the Pentagon would have to release the information that we have on unidentified flying objects, UFOs, also known as, they changed it now.
Oh.
UAPs.
phenomenon.
What is it?
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it.
They're trying to change it because UFO, when people say UFO, you think aliens. So they're trying to get away from that mindset by changing the name. So now you hear UAP, which is kind of dumb to me. Everyone still thinks UFO.
Right.
But they're trying to change that very subtly so that you don't necessarily think aliens when you think of what they're talking
Oh
about.
no, we wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Right.
What's kind of confusing is there shouldn't have to be this huge release of information if it's just another country doing things. Why is it such a big deal?
Well, that's what's interesting about it. So what it's bringing up is a lot of, they've started releasing some footage. And even, President Obama came out
Yeah,
and
that
said,
was crazy.
here's the thing, because he gets this question all the time. He goes, there are objects we 100% have no idea where they come from. They're not from us, and they seem to be way more advanced than anything that you would see from Russia or China or any of our adversaries whatsoever.
And they had footage that was captured from the Navy.
Yep.
So that's
Lots
not,
of it.
That's not somebody with a cell phone. That's
Lots of it. So, and the Pentagon has confirmed that the footage that you're seeing of the unidentified flying object is indeed legit. And they have no idea what it is, and they don't know where it comes from, and it's being talked about right now. What's weird to me is how passively it's being talked about.
So
It's
nonchalant.
It's like
It's weird.
it's like
they keep coming up with very creative ways to like talk it off like it's not a big deal. Oh, well, that's, you know,
They're still using
leftover something from thermal imaging that would cause something just like that. So there's no, oh, that tic-tac thing, oh, that was just because of the gimbal
clerical
and
error.
how it moved, and that's not it moving. What is the tic-tac then?
when I
You know?
what's really strange to me is the Pentagon came out and confirmed it. Our old President Obama confirmed it.
Right.
Every news station is talking about it, but they're talking about it like, yeah, so, you know, we have no idea what they are, and we hope it's not an enemy, but regardless, it's in our naval airspace, and it's able to do whatever it wants, and when we come back, it's
A
the
kitten
local
beauty pageant.
Yeah, yeah.
What?
The local ice cream shop celebrating 32 years. Go downtown and get your 99-cent cone, and they just like pass it off like it's no big thing, and it's not being talked about, and like there's people that still don't believe it, and I feel like the way they're giving out the information is so passive and so nonchalant that it's almost like you're being conditioned to not think of it as a big deal.
They're grooming us. They're grooming us for the big reveal.
The big reveal.
They wouldn't
Oh,
do
yeah.
that.
Oh no, never.
Now that we've dug down into our conspiracy theories, I want to thank you for tuning into the Green Outdoors podcast. Also, check out OnX Hunt. So, OnX Hunt,
I got that one on.
yeah, yeah. Our code is on the screen for OnX. That will get you a discount there as well. It's so important. It's an application that we use in the field all the time. It gives you the boundaries of all public and private property and the contact information for the private property so that if you shoot a deer and it goes on someone else's property, you can find out where they live so you can contact them, make sure you can go get it. You can make sure you're not trespassing. And on top of that, you can download the maps to your phone so that if you don't have satellites, you don't have service whatsoever, you can still use the map and know exactly where you are because the compass in your phone still works with it. So no matter what, you know where you are, which we use on all of our trips because we never know when we'll have service. We normally don't. This
Works great for trout fishing.
it's how we hunt. Please go check out OnX. It's super important. We'd like to thank Weatherby Arms for always keeping us armed. Ram Trucks for being the #1 truck in the world. Bass Pro for always outfitting us and being our exclusive outfitter. Tracker Boats for making our boating experience awesome. And on top of that, we're going to be doing a podcast real soon to do a big announcement with Tracker Boats. That's going to be very exciting. If you're listening to this podcast, don't forget you can check it out on YouTube and Carbon TV. Actually watch it, see our ugly faces as well. Thank you so much for tuning into the Green Outdoors podcast, and stay green.